Let's first start with where we are right now on the election front with our own Yahoo Finance's Jessica Smith. Jess, I'm so excited to have this conversation with you now. So I want to run through some states. Let's start first with the state of Nevada, still an outstanding state at the moment. We are seeing very thin margins there. Tell us about the latest in that state.
Yeah, just in the past hour or so, we did get some new information from the state of Nevada, and we now see that Vice President Biden's lead in that state has grown to roughly 12,000. Before we got this information, he was sitting on a 8,000 vote lead, so that has increased a little bit. We were waiting for these results for quite some time. We didn't get updates from Nevada all throughout the day yesterday, so this is the first look that we've been able to get at how voting is going there. So we are still waiting on some more results from that state. So we'll keep you updated on this. But also today, the Trump administration has announced a lawsuit that they say will block illegal votes in Nevada. They allege that there were votes from people who had moved or who had died counted in this, but it's very important to note that there is no evidence of these claims. The campaign officials that spoke to reporters about this did not give any evidence, and they did not answer questions from reporters about these claims. President Trump did send out a statement saying, if you count the legal votes, I easily win the election. If you count the illegal and late votes, they can steal the election from us. So that is a lot of what we're hearing from the campaign today, though, again, they are not giving us any evidence for the claims that they are making.
All right, Jess, let's talk about another state right now with razor thin margins, which is the state of Georgia. I think so many people had largely expected it would be going to President Trump. He's still leading. However, that margin seems to be narrowing.
Yeah, that is definitely narrowing. We're seeing Vice President Biden gain on President Trump in the state of Georgia. He leads right now, President Trump does, by about 14,000 votes. Earlier today, the last we heard, there were about 16,000 votes outstanding. Many of these votes are coming from mostly blue counties. We will see if there are enough Democratic votes for Vice President Biden to overtake President Trump and become the first Democratic presidential candidate to win that state since 1992. Now, we are still waiting to hear more results from Georgia. It's not quite done yet, but election officials are hoping to get this wrapped up at some point today. So we'll have to keep you updated on what they have to say. There is also that Senate race in Georgia that we are watching. We already know one of those races is going to a runoff, but now it is looking like the other might as well. So we'll see if we get an answer on whether or not we're going to have to wait to see who wins that seat come January.
All right, let's talk about Pennsylvania right now. Of course, this is a state that is also facing a lawsuit from the campaign. Right now, that those margins there are also narrowing.
Yes, it's the same thing that we saw in Michigan and Wisconsin that we're seeing now in Georgia. Those mail-in ballots, those absentee ballots are being counted now. Those obviously take a little bit longer because they couldn't start counting early. They are just now starting to count these. So it's taking a little bit longer. And those are trending toward Joe Biden. There are still many votes outstanding here. But right now, President Trump has a 115,000 vote lead. Again, we'll see if this trend continues, where we are seeing Biden pick up those mail-in ballots. But again, as you mentioned, there are a couple lawsuits in Pennsylvania dealing with whether or not mail-in ballots that are received after Election Day actually be counted. As state law stands, they can until Friday. So it could take some time for us to get the final results from Pennsylvania. But if Vice President Biden wins Pennsylvania, that's it. That's all he needs to reach 270. So that is a very influential state that is so important here. In both campaigns, it's interesting. Obviously, they are both projecting confidence here. They are both optimistic about Pennsylvania. I was on a call with the Trump campaign earlier today, and they said President Trump will win Pennsylvania, but then the Biden campaign is saying the same thing. So that's going to be really interesting to see how that race shakes out.
Jess, I want to look at one last state here. So all the states that we've just been talking about between the two of us, they're still outstanding. We still have not had calls for those states as yet. However, something interesting right now happening inside of Arizona, which the Associated Press did call for Joe Biden. I'm seeing here, at least per our Yahoo Election Center, roughly 88% of the votes have been counted there, but there is some concerns that this state might not go to Biden, correct?
Yeah, there is some concern there because, as you mentioned, the AP and Fox News both called this race pretty early on for Vice President Biden. But President Trump has been gaining there as votes continue to be counted. And the Trump campaign has been insistent from the beginning that that call was a mistake, that Arizona is still in play, and they do think that President Trump is going to win that. Again, Biden still has a lead there. It has been called for him, but we will see if he is able to hold on to those 11 electoral votes. We are not expecting more results until later tonight, so it could be a little bit before we get answers in Arizona. The Biden campaign did say today that they expect that race to grow tighter. They're not surprised by that, but the campaign manager did say that they think they will still win that state. I believe she said by tens of thousands.
All right. Thanks so much, Yahoo Finance's Jessica Smith, for, of course, breaking all of that down for us.